It's 10 o'clock. It's been a long day. Daddy needs a drink. When Daddy needs a drink, there's usually going to be bourbon involved. And obviously, if we're going to do bourbon, the OG way to do that is by making an old fashioned. So tonight, we're going to show you how to make a proper old fashioned. When you're choosing your whiskey, there's a couple things to take into consideration. I like to use a little bit higher proof, something about 100 proof or more, and I usually like a whiskey that's fairly spicy. That way you don't lose the flavor of the bourbon with the syrup or sugar and the ice as it melts. You keep the bourbon taste coming through, which is important if you're not a little bitch. Next, you're gonna need either sugar or simple syrup, which is basically a sugar syrup. I prefer to use syrup just because it integrates and mixes into the drink better. Sugar cubes tend to settle at the bottom and never really dissolve completely. So I feel like syrup makes a better drink. You can also do a little bit more with the flavors of it, and it's super easy to make on your own. Next, you're gonna need bitters. The traditional bitter for an old fashioned is Angostura, which the easiest way for me to describe the flavor of that is that it really is kind of a very strong cinnamon flavor. I like cherry bitters or orange bitters. Those flavors, the fruit flavors that you get in those kind of highlight flavors that naturally come out of a lot of bourbon. And I just feel like it makes a better cocktail, just personal preference. So Angostura, there's nothing wrong with it. And if you go to a traditional bar, they're probably going to use that unless you ask for something different. You'll need cherries to finish. Optional is citrus skins for garnish. And then of course ice. And one thing to consider with ice is that if you use small cubes, they're going to melt really fast and dilute your drink. You can get these molds from any beverage supply store, make them ahead of time, and then you've got a nice big sphere or a large cube that'll sit in there. It'll keep your drink cold and it won't dilute it as quickly as your standard ice maker ice cubes. The old fashions. Start with the syrup. What I do is I pour it in and basically coat the bottom of the glass. Mama likes hers a little sweet, so we'll add a little extra syrup.
Mama likes it sweet.
Next up, we're going with the bitter. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the cherry. I'm gonna put about 5-6 shakes into the drink. Next, we're gonna go with our whiskey. I like to make doubles, so about 2 ounces of bourbon. And again, this is a preference thing as far as your ratio of bourbon to syrup. I like my old fashioned to just be slightly sweetened. I still really want to taste the bourbon. The drink's basically made. A good quality cherry really elevates the drink. It takes it from being very pedestrian to being more of a craft high-end cocktail. They don't have to be super expensive. These are from Trader Joe's. They're a seasonal item in the holidays, and they cost about $4 a jar. You can pay a lot more for cherries or a lot less. Best advice would be experiment and find the ones you like the best. Here's another little pro tip. If you don't want to use tons of simple syrup, but you have somebody like Mama that likes it sweet, add a little bit of that cherry juice into the drink as well. I give it all a stir before I add the ice, just to try to mix that syrup and whiskey together. Now it's time for the garnish. Go ahead and peel a little bit of orange peel off. And if you really want to get fancy and have some fun with it, go ahead and heat that orange peel up. What this is going to do is it's going to bring out the oils that are natural inside that peel. And you can take that, rub it around the inside rim of the glass, drop the peel in, You get some of those oils that drink is gonna go right over as it comes into your mouth. Just adds a little extra accent. I'm gonna give it another little stir. Time for the ice. Careful with these larger spheres. If you drop it in, it'll splash all your drink out. You don't want that.
Hold it up, man.
And that's it. Proper old fashioned. Very simple as long as you have the ingredients on hand. Cheers.